Hi, everybody. This is Attorney Celeste. What happened to the ex wife who wanted to move her autistic child away from the dad? Well, in this case, we have a couple that got married, they had a child, and eventually, after testing, the child was diagnosed as having autism. The marriage fell apart with the wife alleging that she eventually had to sleep in her office away from the husband, as well as the husband alleging multiple things, such as not being granted access to his child when he wanted to visit. So this couple got married, had the child. They eventually fell out. The wife wanted a divorce, so she filed her divorce. And as part of her doing that, eventually she wanted to move to a different state completely. Now, this is probably about 2 or 3 states away. And this is from Chicago. This is a Chicago case. She alleged multiple things. She alleged that the husband was violent, that he was angry and aggressive, that it came out in the case that he had suffered some physical abuse growing up, physical and emotional abuse growing up, and that when he came for his parenting time to visit his child, he would get angry because the father of the wife, or grandfather, was watching the son, and he would not let the father see his child or take him home as designated by the courts or as possibly agreed to by the parties. So essentially, as part of her case, she wanted to move to a different state. This is about 2 or 3 states away. And her argument was basically that there were schools for her autistic son there. She had a potential job opportunity. She would be able to live. It also came out in the case that the father of the wife was paying for the wife's housing and other things in her life. So it looks like that was probably going to be the arrangement. The grandfather even testified that he wanted to move down to a different area. This is the South, by the way. He wanted to move down to the South because he thought the winters were shorter. And if you're from Chicago, you know that the winters here can be very long indeed. So he testified he wanted to move to the South, easygoing type of life, etc. The ex-wife also testified that it wouldn't have such an impact on the son. Yeah, it can happen to any child. They move and all of a sudden, there's going to be some turbulence from the move. She stated that the husband would be able to continue his relationship with the son. She also testified that it was very important for the son to have a routine. So the husband, or the father in this case, came back around and he argued that he took his court-mandated anger management classes. She alleged that he was angry. He also stated that he at one point visited he wanted to come visit his son, and when he was doing so, he heard his son yell, and he looked over and he saw the grandpa had sat the son down on the swing very hard and was not being nice to him. This is what he was alleging. Altogether, what happens to the ex-wife who wants to move the autistic son out of state? Well, she lost the case. And she lost the case for different reasons. For one thing, she wanted to move down to the South, possibly getting a job. That's not the same thing as already having a job lined up, or, even putting in the application and getting a response back. There was a potential for better treatment of her son in school. And, all of these things sounded really vague. And as a result of that, that seems like that's why she lost the case. Another important factor is that Because the son had autism, he essentially he essentially needed routine. It was part of his diagnosis. The court had also looked into the fact that the ex-wife had been preventing the father from seeing the son more, which was what the court had ordered. And as part of going back to the routine, as part of that, the court just wanted to. It seems like the court wanted to emphasize that because of this diagnosis of autism, routine is very important, and therefore moving this child away to a different state would have severe ramifications, especially in terms of his relationship with his father and with his extended family here in Illinois and apparently in Michigan. So altogether, she lost the case, and the vague reasoning seems to be the reason behind it. So moving a child with autism across state lines without any real plans in place, any concrete plans in place, that doesn't appear to play well in the courts.